Alright, so this is Beloren. This is part of the March of Cardenas that will be released on March 31st, so third week of raid. This is intended as the 7th boss, but it's in the same category as Belgor and Ezreal and Light Blinded Vanguard. So there's a chance that this might be the 5th or 6th boss. We'll have to see depending on tuning. Right, so this boss is going to start off with a color mechanic. It's going to turn you randomly into light or void. What this does is you can still touch your the opposite colors. You take 50% reduced damage from the same color. So generally speaking, you're going to be doing your same color mechanic. You're not going to do an opposite color mechanic. So right at the get-go, they're going to do a group stack, an add spawn, like White Bird in this scenario. It's going to do a light stack. This should primarily be stacked with light people because again, they have 50% DR. If this was a void one, you would be having all the void people stack instead. This is going to split damage amongst everyone in it, and it's going to knock them all back and create a void zone. This set's going to pop up. It has a bullet spam. It's either light blast or void blast. And then it has one very important kick called light eruption or void eruption. This is going to do a raid wide of that specific cast, and that one definitely needs to be kicked. We're not just kicking the blast. It does have one specific detail to it, in that for light eruption and void eruption, it can only be kicked by the person who matches the same color. So there's light ember, if it's casting void eruption, light eruption, it can only be kicked by someone who is a light person. So very important to note for that stuff. Now, during this time, you're going to notice Beloren's casting Light Edict. There's 3 different tank busters. I'll talk about the names in full. The main stuff for this tank buster is one person must be in this tank buster. It's going to do a knockback. If someone is missing, as in there's no one getting hit at all, the boss is enrages. So very important for those tank busters to be dealt with. Right here, it might be a little bit hard to see. There's a quill here that's light. These quills are the heroic mechanic. They will target the opposite person. So if it's a light quill, it's going to target a void person. If it's a void quill, it's going to be targeting a light person. This person will have an arrow above their head, and it will also be the color of either light or void. This must be body blocked by someone of the same color. So this person with the light arrow above it, this is a void person. They need a light person to body block. So it's someone with light, with a monk. If you're able to see it, it's right here. This person goes all the way out, and then there's like a monk who's white, who's standing in front to body block it. Actually, that may just point all over the place. You can see right here with this void. So these 2 void people are body blocking, 50% DR is totally fine. Now, these ads, when they die, they turn into an egg. This egg has 15-second cast. If this cast finishes, they will revive with 100% HP. So, very important at the moment that something turns into an egg, we're trying to kill it. Right. And then the other mechanic of P1. This will start off with just one color orb. These will all come down one side of the arena. If you're the same color, you're just going to step into them and open up a path. On Mythic, you're only going to be able to eat one of them before you're going to be at death's door. So just clear the path where possible, and then if there's enough space for the void people, you just let it be what it is. Now, you might notice something interesting here. Beloren reaches 1 HP. This is a Phoenix, so it's going to constantly revive, as you notice from the ad. It's going to start this revive with Death Drop. This is proximity physical damage. On Mythic, the center impact point is about 800k damage, and then it falls off the further you go. You do not want to be all the way at the edge of the room, because as soon as you get knocked up, it's immediately starting the intermission phase. So the intermission phase, you have the Egg of Beloren. When the Egg of Beloren hits your HP, the boss dies. So this phase is the most important stuff. This is going to be an HP horde boss. You should expect us to try to align single target CDs with this phase constantly. Now during this 30 seconds that we're doing this rebuff, you're going to notice that there are colors in the middle. These colors extend all the way throughout the arena, so do not try to outrange this mechanic at all. If you are in the wrong color, you will take 1 million damage regardless of who you are. So with tanks, even tanks included, you do not want to be in the wrong color. You want to use some type of moon speed, or probably a sudden rescue, a gateway to cancel the knockup, maybe bops to remove the physical damage to prevent people getting knocked up, some fashion to make sure that people can actually dodge into the quick color. So you see right here, he's moving into his light debuff. And then it's not all that much damage if you are all matching colors. On Heroic, you might this was early testing where it was possible for you to be in the wrong color and still live. And you'll see not all patterns are half and half. Some of these patterns are going to be ones where there's only one slice available for you to use. And others, I believe it should be the last one, it's just going to be flip-flop, where it's just alternating. Right here, it should be the alternating one. And then Beloren's going to revive right here, back with 100% HP. This is going to start off with a raid wide. And after this raid wide hits, everyone is going to get a debuff. This might be a real early testing, so the debuff doesn't exist. The debuff is you receive 10% less healing. Actually, correction. You do 10% less healing. So your personal healing or a healer healing someone, that's all going to be 10% reduced, and this stacks throughout the fight. That essentially acts as the difficulty as the fight progresses. So at some point, the healers are going to be at 10% heal reduction, 20% heal reduction. I believe it goes up to 30%, and then the boss will harden rage. So do note that the further the fight goes, the less the healers are going to be able to heal. You should be seeing your HP kind of just neutralize. Now that we're done with the very first intermission, you're going to see now it's summoning 2 ads at the same time. This should be the max where it's just 2 ads at a time at any given point. And then right here, you're going to get the new stuff from the Tank Buster as they turn around. So you saw there's Light Edict at the very start, there's Void Edict, and then right here, it should be after this, it's going to do Void Light Edict, and one person needs to be in both sides. So this is 2 people total, one in the light, one in the void. And then instead of just having this void, instead of earlier when there was just light orbs coming on the left, in a short bit you're going to notice that there's going to be light orbs coming from the bottom of the screen. So both sides have to clear orbs to open up space so that people don't get one shot by the orbs. Because these orbs will one shot you if you touch the wrong stuff. I believe it's 500k upfront damage, and then you take 1 million damage in dot damage across 10 seconds. Pretty rough if you mismatch colors. But that's it for Heroic Beloren. Mythic Beloren adds a decent amount of extra stuff. Most of the mechanics are roughly the same. So if you can understand normal Heroic, you understand most of this. But there is one complication that really drives this fight to feel like a 7th boss fight. The first stuff, this is not the complication mechanic. When someone is intersecting these quills, these will do an 8-yard AoE. This AoE will do roughly the same as though as if someone of the opposite color touched it. So all these void people, they could stand this AoE just fine. It's barely going to do anything, as you can see with this evoker. If a light person is in this AoE, they're most likely guaranteed dead. So just be aware of that. And then while these orbs are coming in, this is going to be the part that makes us feel like a 7th boss fight. If these orbs touch the boss, this will do a rate white of that orb's color. So these orbs must be cleared. And then it's the tank's responsibility to move. Now you might be wondering, well, that seems fairly simple. It's just an orb going across. No big deal. What's the big problem? Like right here, you can see the orbs are just going in a straight line. Like, where's the problem? Let me just go over to this section right here. You notice right here, these orbs start moving in ways that aren't necessarily lines. And right now, this boss is stuck in a tank buster. So, tank can't move. They're not necessarily in a line. And this orb is just going to touch, and then, oh wait, this person that ended up grabbing it just barely in time. Okay, we're just going to notice, like, these orbs are kind of just going all around the arena. I believe it's them bouncing off the wall in a random direction. But that's essentially the difficulty of everyone has to use their eyes. If you have enough HP to live an orb, and you're currently not doing the quill mechanic, you need to pick up an orb. So, if you will want to see the overlap, this is Tank Buster's going. As a DPS or healer, you shouldn't be standing in this Tank Buster. The orbs popping up, these can't touch the boss, you want to grab them. There's also quills going off, which do the 8-yard AoE around them, and if you get clipped by the opposite color, you're dead. So if somehow these light orbs are on the left side instead, this becomes a lot spookier, because now you're trying to grab these light orbs on the left side, but there's also a void circle that's going to pop up. If you get splashed by that, you're dead. So that's it for this 7th boss. We will be doing normal and heroic of this. Maybe not normal, depending on how much time we have and whether the use is actually worthwhile or not. But you can see right here, if you aren't used to Vasilio CDs, these lines represent the phase timings, which means that we'll be dragging this based off of when we're expecting to push into the intermission. If we went based off of how people did on PTR, they pushed roughly at 1:30, 4 minutes, and 6:30. If those aren't necessarily our CD timers, you might see us trying to hold longer in P1. I believe, let me see. I believe the boss does have an enrage mechanic at 100, so it's not like you can hold forever. But there is going to be some level of, we want a specific timing to push that. Because right here you can see Beloren's at 55 energy. So it's at 70% HP, but it's this current timer around 3 minutes really when you want to be entering that 30 seconds of actual real damage on the boss. So this is going to have to be one of those fights where there's going to be a lot of adjustment and a lot of just use your eyes. You can see right here, I think this is just a quill going off. Yeah, you can see right here, oh, very nasty overlap. Quill, this quill pops up, they push immediately, which immediately activates the quill. And then everyone just gets completely chunked because I believe there was a light and a void quill at the same time. Oh, very nasty timers. This is very much a boss where there's going to be a bunch of random holds as needed. But yeah, so that's Beloren. No need to worry about this boss until March 31st. You'll probably review the mods by then. Instead of right now when this boss does not exist as a real boss. But yeah.